Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Hello to Healing. I'm your host, Michaela.
And I'm Michelle.
And today we're going to talk about the topic of meditation and the steps and the processes that you can take in order to create a more mindful practice of meditation and kind of why meditation is an important factor to implement into your daily life. So, Michelle, you want to kick us off?
So the practice of meditation is really a focused concentration. And when I mean focused, it also involves your intention. And focus means you're looking at one thought, not multiple things going on. And not always that easy to do, but that is a key component of meditation. It's kind of a way that we communicate with our subconscious. And our subconscious is always trying to send us messages. We just don't hear them because we have, as you've said before, this monkey mind that just goes on and on. So for the subconscious to get a word in there is probably a little more difficult to do. So the purpose of meditation is to quiet so the subconscious mind can interact with this, that spiritual component that is a very important part of us and leading a happy life. And then meditation is being in the moment, not worrying about what I got to do in the next hour. I got to pick up the kids from school. I got to make dinner. I got to do this. It's just being in the present moment, which is not easy for us to do in the world today because we are go, 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 do, and it can be endless. So those are the things that I have picked up as part of what meditation is.
Right.
And anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, of course. I think one of the biggest things, and I've mentioned this book before, it's called Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, and it's by Dr. Joe Dispenza. And he goes into a lot more depth about meditation as a whole. But essentially, meditation comes from the word that's from Sanskrit, or to meditate, and it means to cultivate yourself. So cultivating literally means that you are trying to seek to be in control of this mind that you've been given. And the fact is that sometimes it can get chaotic or out of control because we're not told or taught how to handle it ourselves in a healthy way. And so basically what in the book it discussed a lot about is that your mind is a garden. And in this garden, there's many components that it takes in order to grow a plant or a tree, whatever you want to consider it to be. But the one thing that you need is the soil, right? In order to cultivate a healthy growth process, it needs to have fertile soil and also the seed that you're planting in, which you can utilize that as just talking about the thought or the creation of what it is that you desire and want to create in your life. It all starts with this thought, this seed that you're planting. But if your soil, let's say, or the seed that you're planting doesn't have a solid foundation within it, meaning that we have a lot of weeds that are within the soil or rocks, and you could use this as a symbol, meaning the weeds are old mindsets and processes that we've had in place within ourselves and our subconscious mind our whole lives. And that the biggest thing is being consciously aware of yourself, of what you're experiencing that you don't like. Because when you can identify these weeds or these thought processes within yourself that you don't like, you are able to change it and take it out of this habitual process that
That's
you've created within yourself. So that's a huge thing. identifying the weeds, taking them out so that you have a more fertile soil or foundation to input this new thought process or the seed per se. And the other part is that they really talk about stones as a symbol of a blockage within yourself. And these stones, they can be seen as like a mind block for you, where you can't overcome them if this big stone or this big thought is in the way of stopping you. And so it's about being able to take these, reflect on them, but understanding that there's a reason I need to let these go. And by processing it and accepting it, you're able to create a better foundation for yourself, which essentially will create different habits, different thoughts, and a different you based off of these newfound thoughts and foundation of the garden.
Well, being a gardener, I understand if I have a lot of stones in my soil, I'm not going to be able to grow those plants in the way that they probably could be. So you do have to take out the stones. You've got to know they're there and remove them. So that is definitely something that is important. The other part, if we're talking about soil, it also, you can connect that to getting the knowledge of what meditation is. So we are not taught that. It's not like your parents said, this is how we meditate. This is something that we do on an everyday basis for our own well-being. So perhaps maybe in the Eastern cultures they might, but in Western cultures, it's not part of our everyday practices and not really something that's handed down from generation to generation and your parents. So if we're talking about cultivating that soil, I think, that needs to be something that we start blessing our children with. You have that knowledge, make sure your children understand it, know how to do it. So educating them. So that helps create that fertile soil. So
it's interesting you say that, because actually, I've spoken to some teachers too, and in the US and in other places. And one of the things that they say is that they are implementing the concept of mindfulness. And in the morning, when you get into class, it's sitting down everyone together and doing some deep breaths, kind of focusing in on how you feel. And being able to express that, how you're feeling, is a huge key factor too, because what we don't express within ourselves now will show up later in a different way, which, like I've said many times before, can end up being a physical, or like we're talking about the stones, is a mental block. And that is just one of the steps of moving forward, that why meditation is important, is because it implements a sense of conscious awareness within yourself. So
perfect. And I think we do need to make sure that our children know and that they're educated and this is part of their life. So
right. Well, let's kind of jump into what and how do you meditate? So go ahead and tell us a little bit. How do you meditate?
first off, you really need to find a place that's quiet. You're not going to be able to do this sitting in a chair with 2 or 3 children running around you and wanting your attention. So it does need to be a quiet place and kind of a separate time just for you. So anything you want to add to that? Or?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that people ask me is, how do you do it? And one of the things is getting yourself in that space of, I'm going to sit down and take a moment for myself. And for a lot of people, it can be scary being with yourself and sitting with your own thoughts for extended period of time. And no, nobody is saying that you have to spend 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 2 hours a day meditating. The biggest thing that you need to do is just start. start with, 5 minutes, even if 5 minutes are too much, 2 minutes, getting yourself on the mat, on wherever is a comfortable space. I do not suggest laying on your bed, because if you think about it, your bed is a space for sleep. So when you lay down, your body is already in this habitual state of, I'm laying down, I'm in my bed space. This is what sleep is for. But that's not what meditation is. Meditation is not where you're trying to go into a sleep state. It's about getting your mind into a calm alpha state levels where you are tapping into this inner peace and quiet, so that you can now start connecting or asking questions to what I call the higher self, or this higher amount of knowledge, and gaining answers or insight within yourself of something you might need. What's the next step in your life? Where you want to go? Things that might be challenging for you. It's about getting yourself into the state where you can release this monkey mind and just focus on this one intention of the answer that you would like to receive. So
Yeah.
I would suggest probably 15 minutes to get into this meditative state. And obviously silence is necessary. And for me, I like to focus on something like white noise. And so white noise is this constant state, which white noise could be anything, like the sound of waves, a constant repetition, which your mind can focus on to help release this constant state that your mind is thinking about all these other thoughts. It helps you focus on one sound and eventually release these thoughts and kind of get into a more aligned state within yourself. And yeah, why don't you tell us a little bit, Michelle, about the mind wandering during that process?
Well, it's normal for you to have multiple things going on. You'll have thought after thought after thought. And that is the hardest part of meditation. So, something that also helps with that is focusing on your breathing, noticing when you take a breath in and when you let that out. And you also slow the process down, focusing deeply on that breathing. I mean, this is even something you do if you're anxious and you have awareness as how to change your state of mind with that. So this is a very important part of the meditation process, and also just helping kind of release a little bit of anxiety. So getting back to talking about the monkey mind, multiple thoughts, you just need to be kind to yourself, because you're going to have thoughts. It's going to come in. Oh, I should be out there pulling my dead flowers out, or whatever. It's just going to come in, and you need to just kind of go, okay, yes, I had that thought. Let it go. I need to focus. And focusing, your breathing can help, but I think you also have another way to bring yourself back into that focus.
Yeah, when it comes for my meditation process, I usually, when I'm sitting down on my yoga mat, you can put something underneath like your backbone too. If your back, if it's hard for you to kind of get aligned with your spine to sit up straight, you can put something underneath your backbone to help you sit up straight. But for me, I visualize this line kind of going down the middle of my body, starting at the tip of my head, my forehead, and all the way down. And I visualize this white light kind of aligning. And a lot of times when I'm trying to center myself, trying to quiet this monkey mind, of course, I allow this thoughts to kind of wander, but I have this ability to kind of bring myself back to the center when that does happen. It's inevitable. Your mind is going to wander because it's bored. It's bored. And so for you, the most important part is centering yourself. And for me, I'm a very visual person. So I need to feel like I can see something happening and feeling it to feel a sense of centering within myself. So I visualize a white light. And there's something else called mudras. And a mudra is basically different types of hand movements or placement that you can put during a meditation process. And it essentially is connecting the energy centers within your body, which stimulates a different energetic motion and movement that allows your brain actually is connected as well, which creates a different healing and calming process throughout your body and your energy centers. So yeah, it's a really
so that works as well. And also for those people that know about chakras, your third eye is in the middle of your forehead, which is kind of a light center. That also, you can concentrate on that to also help these wandering thoughts just to kind of go away and keep yourself focused. The other thing that happens also with meditation is you do have different sensations that happen in your body. I know for me, sometimes it just feels like my hands or my feet may be floating. It's just a different kind of sensation. It's not something to be fearful of, but it's just your body kind of letting things going and getting into a different space. So I'm not sure, what sensations you may have.
I mean, it's not comfortable at first, honestly, meditating.
No.
It's not a comfortable state. And the thing is it's not necessarily supposed to be comfortable where you're laying on your bed and you can fall asleep. Because in meditation, that's not the objective. And I think that's what a lot of people have understood in some place. It's supposed to be comfortable, but it's not. You're getting your mind into a calm state, but your body essentially over time, it will get used to that placement that you're in, and your mind will start to center itself and kind of release this monkey mind itself. But it's not very comfortable at first, that's for sure. So no laying in the bed.
Definitely not.
Yeah. And the intention, mentioning about the intention and why it's important is your intention is focusing on one thing that you would like to gain out of that session or meditation process itself. Intention is important within our whole life, but being able to meditate, it really helps you focus on the end goal of what you would like to get out of that session itself. I don't know if you'd like to add anything to that, Michelle.
Well, just like we've said before, your intention when you go into the harmonic egg, which I think is like a big, huge meditative session, it is the most important thing. And it is staying focused on the one thing that you need or desire or is maybe troubling you the most, for your subconscious mind to come and say to you, give you ways to deal with that, because that subconscious mind does know. It has the knowledge, and it not only does it know, but it loves you and wants to make your life as great as it can possibly be. So being in touch with that wonderful part of you that loves you without a condition is phenomenal. I mean, that's, you can't feel anything but love there. And that part is also an important part of the meditation process, to get to that point where there is that feeling of love that is, I'd say, part of the universe, that is expressed to you, is really kind of a neat focus and a wonderful intention in the long run. So
right. Yeah, and the benefits that you get from meditation too, right? You have a decreased amount of stress within your body. A lot of times our brains and our mind is functioning on this high beta levels, and we'll kind of dive deeper into that maybe a little bit next session of our podcast. But essentially our minds have the frequencies. And because of that, a lot of times a lot of us are focusing on this high beta level frequency. That's where we're functioning, which means that our bodies are in this fight or flight mode, and it's releasing like high amounts of stress hormones within our body, which over time can create a lot of problems within our body. And it can be comparable to an animal being chased by another animal. It's high stress, and in the moment you're having to make a lot of, choices. But for us, we've been blessed with this brain and we don't know how to use it very well. So
We haven't been
definitely.
taught. We haven't been taught.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, we didn't come with the complete manual. And maybe there's some pages that we're missing. So this
Mhm.
is the purpose of this podcast about meditation, is to bring that into your knowledge and be part of your manual.
Mhm.
So yes, intention. The other things we talked about that are all part of the meditation is concentration. That's got to be there. The
But
sensitivities.
mhm.
Mm-hmm. I don't want to jump around too much, but let's talk more about the benefits. You said for the release of the stress, physical things, it can lower your blood pressure. Definitely lower your blood pressure.
Mhm.
It can help get rid of pain. If that is your focus, is to rid yourself of the pain, it can help with that process.
Mhm.
So there's lots of things that meditation, clarity in your life. It's very important, when you don't know which way to go. Your subconscious mind through meditation can help with clarity as to what direction that you should probably be taking.
Mhm.
So, and it does also help with your spiritual development, which is an ongoing thing that we need
Right.
to tap into
Mhm.
for certain.
And it also, like we discussed before, is like touches with your purpose. So you're kind of feeling lost in your life, not really sure where the direction that your life is going. A lot of times it can feel that way is because we're not making conscious decisions in our lives. We're kind of just, letting the car drive us instead of us driving the car. And because of that, we can feel lost or directionless because we're not making choices in the directions that would bring us joy. And the reason we're not making those directions is because we're not taking the time, which meditation will allow you to do, to ask yourself what it is you actually want out of this life and this experience right now. And when you give yourself the space, because that's what meditation is, it's creating space within these thoughts to allow this higher knowledge and this higher self, if you so choose to call it that, is to bring in this higher information of what your subconscious is trying to communicate, which would benefit you on a higher level. So it's connecting to a deeper sense of yourself and aligning you with that purpose if you choose to listen to it.
And that's the biggest thing, is meditation allows you to listen.
Mhm.
The answers will come. We just need to learn to listen. And that's the biggest problem in almost all our communication processes. We're not listening to what is being said. Um, so that meditation is the answer to that. And we need to make sure that that is added into our daily lives. So,
Yep, exactly. I think we kind of covered that, talking a little bit before we kind of wrap up, is the 5 different brain waves. when it comes to ourselves. So do you want to kind of touch on that?
Well, we talked a little bit about alpha. Alpha is part of the meditative state. Um, you're awake, but you're relaxed, and you are able to take in this information, and your body is able to relax and absorb what it needs. So you're not asleep, but you certainly aren't in rush, rush, rush.
Mhm.
Okay. So that alpha state is in meditation. You want to talk a little bit about what beta is? Because you touched on that.
Beta is kind of talking about like the analytical part of your brain. And this part of your brain, so if you look at like a kid, right, this part of your brain is really developing between the ages 8 and 12. And during this process, we're kind of leading this alpha state where we say, as for us, it's this meditative kind of relaxed state, which taps into this imagination part or visualization of what you would desire for yourself. And in this beta state, we're now shifting into a more conscious state of being and an analytical part. So this is really common for children when they're developing around 8 to 12 years old. And
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
losing the imagination and stepping into this critical thinking,
I would
questioning.
say, I would say most of us in our waking hours are completely in beta. That's what we do. We just function out of that. It's this kind of the monkey mind and this, I got to get this knowledge and that kind of thing that doesn't stop. I mean, let's think about that. You work all day, you're kind of in the beta state, you come home, you turn on the TV, it's still beta. You're not letting your mind relax. So, and then we just go to sleep, and the other three parts of your waves, these brain waves, are really kind of related to your sleep state, which is sleep is very, very important. I think we'll probably talk, we can talk more about those when we do a whole thing on sleep and the needs of that. So I
Mhm.
think the important things is people understand those two brain waves and how we function in those most of the time. So
Right. Yeah. Perfect. Alpha, beta. Beta is where we are. Alpha is kind of where we want to go.
exactly, exactly. And talking about meditation.
Yeah.
So
Well, before we kind of call it a day, I just want to read something from Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself book. It says that creating a new mind is like cultivating a garden. The manifestations you produce from the garden of your mind will be just like crops from the earth's soil. You have to tend it well. So understanding that creating the world and the life that you desire takes time, and taking care of those thoughts that truly matter to you that you want to shift, and treat it like a garden, and one drop of water at the time will make a difference. Maybe not at this what you see, but over time things will shift and change if you tend to it.
yeah,
So,
the seeds of your soul know what to do, and they only are there to develop and make you into a beautiful being. But we have to help those seeds by nurturing it. So, and meditation is part of that nurturing, that we have to incorporate that into our lifestyles in order to do this. So
perfect. Well, if anyone is interested in learning more about the harmonic egg and emotion code sessions that we have, go ahead and check out the link below. Our website has a bunch of other information also connected to our YouTube channel that we are doing as well. So go ahead and check those out and book a session today. We have some great deals that are going on now. So we look forward to meeting you guys soon. So thanks so much.
absolutely. Thank you.
Have a good one.